All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Global Lab Patch Notes reading for Friday, the 13th June. Ominous. Anyway, as we all know, patch notes for the Global Lab come out every Friday and usually come to the live servers in the following week. So it's good to know what's happening, what's coming out, and today we have some interesting news. I think a lot of this is more for endgame players and quality of life, which is, I think, overall good, but let's talk about it. So, with that said, we are getting the next Calamity 8, 9, 10 boss. It is Gumiho. I have a lot of opinions on this one. Like, you would think that the next Calamity 8, 9, 10 boss that would come out would be in the blue tier or the moon one, simply because we already have Sangoon, which is green, and then we have Golden Pig, and that's red, so you would think that the next one would be blue, but they decided we're gonna add Gumiho, and I think that one is actually a very tough one, especially on 7, which is the highest tier you can do for that now. That one is like, what, like a 6-phase fight, and imagine doing this on Calamity 10 where there are no telegraphs and you need 350 AP to even try it. That's wild. If it were me at Pearl Abyss, the next boss that I would have done was probably Songashi from the Moon tier, simply because I truly feel like that is a balanced fight of all the solo bosses. And if you get one-shotted there, you feel like you deserved it or you missed something. But there are a lot of other bosses that I think are, 6 mechanics happening at once and your iframe ran out and then just one-shotted minus 9 minutes for the fight. But yeah, here we are. Can't say this is going to be fun. I think it's probably one of those, we learned how to do it once and then now you gotta do it every week. But anyway, so let's see. The difficulties have been added, each difficulty requirement. So this is probably Calamity 8 with 345 or more. This is actually an increase because usually Calamity 8 is 330 AP and up, and Calamity 9 and 10 are 350 and up. So this is the next step up, 355, and I'm going to be honest, most people do not have 355 AP. So that's wild. And if you don't, you know what you do. You wear a Nuver when you're doing it. Chances are, if you're doing these 9 and 10, if you make a mistake, you're getting one-shotted regardless of if you're doing Kuda Maneuver or Black Star. So there's that new higher difficulty. But yeah, that's my opinion on it. I think it should have been a blue boss, but they added another green one. But I guess it doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, when it comes to the boss buffs, the green one is the most important anyway. So there's that. Anyway, these are the rewards. It looks like it's the same as the other one. So if you can do the others, chances are it's the same thing. All right. Anyway, class balance changes. What's happening? Wusa. Phenomenon of damage taken by the dead adventure being absorbed into the power. The characters died. What does that even mean? This is translated from Korean to English, by the way. So I'm like, I have no idea. We're gonna have to figure that out on the live server when it comes out next week. All right. So quality of life coming out now. You know, when you have the Black Spirit option to exchange like energy for XP or skill XP, you're basically buffing it from 60 minutes to 180 when you use 100 minutes or like 100 energy, went from 60 minutes to 180. So I think that's a good thing because most of the time I forget to use it. And then the bigger important thing is that they added a buff for all of you life skillers out there. And I believe this one is over here. So it is life experience. But yeah, either way, they changed it from skill XP to XP and skill XP, or straight up just combat XP. So Either way, this is a good buff. You exchange energy for buffs, and they added the life skill one, which I think it's probably the most important thing because realistically, once you get past like level 60, 61, you really don't need skill XP anymore these days, just because you probably already have the 1250, 1300 cap, and so you're good to go. But yeah, if you're pushing like level 66, the XP one is always good, but life skill is something they should have added like 9 years ago. But anyway, glad it's being added. And let's see. The reward buff for faster growth can be exchanged for battle fame from 15 to 60. More combat XP, always good. More items being like, you know how when you buy certain items like materials, you can only buy like what, few thousand of them at the time based on how many is listed on the market. They're raising that cap for certain items, which I think is always good. And yeah, so for Blackstones, you can now buy more of them. All right, so, and then all of these like Capra stones that are realistically the most important ones that people I see getting bought and sold on the daily. All of these are for alchemy if you do them. And then this one, oddly specifically, certain meals are, you can buy more at a time, which I think is good, because if you do Imperial Delivery and you're too lazy to buy them 2,000 at a time, now you can buy them like 5,000 at a time. That's good. All right, so the following items have had information added to the item description, aka the tooltip, and it is all of these hunting items. Very cool. A weekly quest has been added for rewards for Turos or Tunkuta, so Turos, and basically you get those embers or whatever to make the fallen god armor quicker, or if you don't need it, it's just more silver. So I think this is overall good. Same with Jade Starlight Forest for your Labreska helmet for all the people getting from beginner to mid-tier game with boss armors to fallen god. I think this is actually very helpful, even though you could just buy the flame off the market for most things these days. But if you want to make it yourself just to say you have your name on it, I think this is a very good quest. All right, so the obtainable quantity of frost of embers and jade ages, which I believe are the flames for this area, and the Arethia's limbo have been increased, and now you get more of them. So that's good. All right, next we have background, NPC, cutscenes, for all that stuff. They changed the locations for various NPCs. Probably for the best, like more convenient. Server selection screen in the wording, tooltip changes. Okay. When your reputation is below 0 and you are a pirate, you can no longer repair. I believe this is naval fame. So you know your karma and then the sea karma, basically. You can no longer repair or supply your ships to the NPCs below. Dude, I truly think, you know, with all the changes they've been making to sailing lately, like you can sell carracks, you can sell carrack gear now. I truly think they should add boat PvP back. That was one of the reasons I got my Valor in the first place. And I've told this story before, but essentially, like, I got my Valor so I could, you know, practice boat PvPing with some of my friends and guildies. And what we would do is go down, like, you know, somewhere close to the ocean near one of those repair NPCs. And then we would just get in voice comms and just shoot at each other's boats. And then when we were at like 10% or something, we just tell each other so we don't sink each other. And now if you try doing that, you lose naval fame and it's not great. So I wish they would add like an arena or something, you know, just something where you can duel other people in your boats, like, you know, practice, test your sailors that are on your boat to see what works. Because right now, what I've seen people use on their boats is really just confident sailors or speed ones. And then if you're doing, you know, dailies, you might have a few extra. But realistically, there's a lot of different sailors, but there's not a lot of variety of what people use. So if you allowed boat PvP or even like boat dueling somewhere. Like that would literally fix that problem. So make it like a red battlefield, but with boats, something like that. All right, so with that said, next on our list, we would like to inform you that some sound files will be replaced over the course of 2 weeks to provide stable sounds. Yeah, I've actually noticed that. I didn't really think it was a big deal most of the time. There's just like some things that have like choppy audio and like weird things that don't make sense. But anyway, I'm glad that's fixing for all the people who listen to the dialogue and the story, and or just like run through things and, you know, hear different noises when various things happen. I don't think it's particularly all like story bugs, but you know how like when you drift cancel with your horse and it just makes a weird noise, that I feel like that could be one of them, but you never know what they're actually changing. So if things sound different and weird right now, that could be it. All right. So fixes and changes. Stable keeper. This modified display normally. Let's see. Orzekia fixed the issue where the black invaders were not detected properly in the Orwa battle. I think this is the 4th Ataraxian dungeon. Because that one, I feel like that is what it is. Either that or that this is like the Orzekia, like the dungeon pre-boss part of it. Like where people grind. Red Battlefield fixed an issue where a penalty would not be applied if the match ended in Valencia before the time limit had run out, but the score limit was reached first. You know, these are the things that I see that I'm like, this is why people don't do RBF. There's a lot of reasons for that. One, you know, if you go into RBF, you're running into people who are like 800 gear score, full evasion, and you can't even hit them. Yeah, that's one thing. This is why gear cap RBFs would be nice. And I'm saying this as someone who has gear too. So, like, there's a lot of reasons for RBF to be unpopular. But, you know, it's things like this or what make it so people don't want to do it. Oh yeah, so if you played with the old menu in the game, there were 2 extra buttons, and then everyone was speculating. I was like, ooh, something's coming out in the near future. Yeah, so those buttons literally did nothing, and they were just kind of there. Fix the issue where a Black Desert client would terminate in certain situations when using the fairy. Generous hand skill has been fixed. What skill is that? I'm gonna be honest, that has to be a different translation. All right, so fixed an issue where the last digit of silver was not deducted when purchasing an item whose price did not end in 0 in the Bertrigo secret shop. Dude, what in the world? The last digit of silver. So like if something costs 50 million, it would be 5 million. You know what they need to do with Bertrigo's shop? You know, update that like to 2025 standards of items, you know, add actually relevant stuff. I think the only thing that people do now is buy Capra stones, and then Capra stones, Cron stones, like boss boxes, and the Bertrigo boxes that are sold for pearls. All right, well, there's a lot of quality of life things. Overall, it's just a positive patch in general. Is it a major patch? Not really, but it's just nice to have. I think the highlight of this week's patch is Gumiho 8, 9, and 10. I'm not looking forward to this. I'm going to probably burn billions worth of harmonies just learning it, but it's one of those things where I want to say that I've learned to do, and 355 AP just to get into this one is kind of insane. So it's probably going to be really scary to the point where only the top end people are going to be doing this. Otherwise, if you're just looking to get the green loot buff for the server, just do Sangoon again. And so honestly, like even if you are geared, I truly believe Sangoon 8 is easier than 7. They're like two different things in terms of like one uses the auras and your gear doesn't matter there versus your gear matters. So I just think one goes down a lot quicker than the other. I don't know. That's just me. But anyway, am I excited for this? No, I have a lot of opinions on why it shouldn't have been this one, but here we are. It doesn't matter. I assume eventually they'll add everything. But anyway, that's all for today's patch. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching. If you're new to your channel, hit that subscribe button. I'd love to see you come back. And now we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.